You probably never thought you'd be here. Maybe you're sitting alone in a quiet room, staring at the ceiling, wondering how everything changed so fast. One day you were building a life together, laughing, sharing dreams, making plans for the future. The next, she's gone. Maybe she left with a suitcase and a cold goodbye, or maybe it was a slow fade, 1,000 little moments that added up to an ending you never saw coming. Either way, you're left with the same question echoing in your mind. Will she ever regret leaving me? Let's be honest. Right now, it doesn't feel like she will. She's posting smiling selfies, going out with friends, maybe even dating someone new. The world tells you to move on, to be a man, to forget her and focus on yourself. But deep down, you want to know the truth. You want to know if she'll ever look back and realize what she lost. You want to know if the pain you're feeling now will ever be felt by her, even for a moment. Here's the truth that nobody tells you. Regret is a slow burn. It doesn't show up in the first week or even the first month. It creeps in quietly, long after the excitement of freedom fades and the reality of her choices sets in. And when it does, it's not just a passing thought. It's a storm that shakes her to her core. But before we get to that, let's talk about what's really happening in her mind right now. When a woman leaves a relationship, especially one that's lasted for years, she's not just walking away from you. She's walking away from a version of herself. The woman she was with you. The routines, the inside jokes, the shared history. She's leaving all of that behind. At first, this feels exhilarating. It's a rush of possibility, a chance to reinvent herself, to chase the dream she put on hold. She's surrounded by friends who cheer her on, telling her she's brave, that she deserves happiness, that she's finally free. But here's the contrast nobody talks about. Freedom is intoxicating, but it's also lonely. The first few weeks are a blur of new experiences. She's trying new things, meeting new people, filling her calendar with anything that keeps her from thinking too much. She's convincing herself and everyone around her that she made the right choice. But late at night, when the noise dies down and she's left alone with her thoughts, the doubts start to creep in. She remembers the little things. The way you made her coffee just the way she liked it. The way you'd reach for her hand in the middle of a crowded room. The way you'd laugh together at jokes nobody else understood. These memories don't disappear. They get sharper with time. And as the novelty of her new life wears off, the emptiness grows. You see, society loves to tell women that leaving is always empowering, that the grass is always greener, that happiness is just one bold decision away. But what they don't tell her is that regret is a shadow that follows you, no matter how far you run. It's easy to romanticize the idea of starting over, but reality is rarely as glamorous as the fantasy. The new guy might be exciting, but he doesn't know her the way you did. He doesn't understand her quirks, her fears, her dreams. Every new relationship is a gamble, and the odds are never as good as they seem. Here's where the real regret begins. It's not about missing you in the obvious ways. It's about missing the version of herself that existed when she was with you. The woman who felt safe, loved, and understood. The woman who could be vulnerable without fear of judgment. The woman who knew deep down that she was someone's first choice. Contrast that with what she's experiencing now. Every new connection feels shallow compared to the depth you shared. Every compliment from a stranger feels empty compared to the way you looked at her when she was at her worst. She starts to realize that the world outside your relationship isn't as warm or welcoming as she hoped. Friends move on, new relationships fizzle, and the excitement of freedom fades into routine. But here's the twist. Regret doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it shows up as anger. She might blame you for things that went wrong, rewrite history to make herself feel better about her choices. She might act like she's happier than ever, posting pictures and stories that scream, "I'm living my best life." But underneath it all, there's a quiet ache, a longing for something real, something lasting, something she can't find anywhere else. And here's the part you need to understand. Her regret is not your responsibility. You can't force her to see what she lost. You can't make her feel the weight of her decisions. All you can do is focus on yourself, on becoming the best version of you, not for her but for you. Because the more you grow, the more you heal. The more you build a life that's full and meaningful, the more her regret will grow. Why? Because nothing is more attractive than a man who knows his worth. A man who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, who doesn't crumble when someone walks away. A man who stands tall, who learns from his pain, who uses heartbreak as fuel for transformation. That's the man she'll regret leaving. Not the man who pleads for another chance, but the man who becomes so strong, so confident, so fulfilled, that she can't help but wonder what might have been. So if you're sitting there, wondering if she'll ever regret leaving you, remember this: regret is inevitable when you walk away from something real. It might take weeks, months, or even years, but it will come. And when it does, it won't be because you tried to make her feel it. It will be because you became the kind of man she can't replace. Let's dig deeper into what happens as time passes. In the beginning, she's surrounded by a chorus of support. Friends, family, even social media all echo the same message. You did the right thing. You deserve better. You're so brave. It's intoxicating, this validation. It drowns out the uncertainty, the fear, the quiet voice inside that wonders if she made a mistake. She's swept up in a wave of encouragement, and for a while it feels like she's on top of the world. But here's the truth about waves: they always crash. The applause fades. The friends who cheered her on have their own lives, their own problems. The newness of her freedom wears off, and the reality of being alone starts to settle in. She begins to notice the silence, the empty side of the bed, the absence of someone who knows her inside and out. The little things she took for granted become glaring gaps in her new life. Contrast is a powerful teacher. She thought she was escaping routine, but now she finds herself craving the comfort of the familiar. She thought she was running toward excitement, but now she's exhausted by the endless search for something that feels real. She thought she was choosing happiness, but now she's haunted by memories of laughter, of warmth, of belonging. The world told her she'd find herself, but all she's found is a version of herself that feels incomplete. This is where regret starts to take root. It's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just a quiet ache, a sense of loss that lingers in the background. She might not even recognize it at first. She'll try to fill the void with distractions, new hobbies, new friends, new lovers, but nothing quite fits. Nothing feels as natural, as effortless as the life she left behind. She'll start to notice things she never paid attention to before. The way couples hold hands in the park, the way old friends talk about their shared history, the way her favorite song suddenly reminds her of you. These moments hit her when she least expects it, and each one is a reminder of what she gave up. Regret isn't always about wanting to go back. Sometimes it's about realizing that what you had was irreplaceable. And here's the irony. The more she tries to convince herself she's happy, the more the regret grows. She'll post pictures of her new adventures, hoping to prove to the world and to herself that she made the right choice. But late at night, when the world is quiet and the mask comes off, she can't escape the truth. She misses the way you made her feel. She misses the safety, the understanding, the sense of being truly seen. This is the part nobody warns her about. The world is quick to celebrate independence, but slow to acknowledge the cost. She's told to chase her dreams, to put herself first, to never settle. But nobody tells her that sometimes the dream is what you already had. That sometimes the greatest adventure is building something real with someone who loves you for who you are. As the months go by, the contrast between her old life and her new one becomes sharper. She starts to see the flaws in the fantasy she was sold. The new relationships lack depth. The excitement is fleeting. The validation from strangers feels hollow. She realizes that being desired isn't the same as being loved. That attention isn't the same as devotion. That freedom isn't the same as fulfillment. And here's where the real regret sets in. She starts to remember the sacrifices you made, the ways you showed up for her, The times you put her needs above your own. She remembers the arguments, sure, but she also remembers the apologies, the forgiveness, the way you always found your way back to each other. She realizes that love isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about choosing each other day after day, even when it's hard. But by the time she understands this, it's often too late. You've changed. You've grown. You've learned to live without her. Maybe you've found someone new. Someone who appreciates you in ways she never did. Maybe you've discovered passions and strengths you never knew you had. Maybe you've built a life that's richer, fuller, more authentic than anything you shared with her. This is the moment she truly regrets leaving, not because she wants to go back, but because she realizes she can't. The door she closed is locked, and the key is long gone. She's left with memories, with what-ifs, with the knowledge that she let go of something precious. And that knowledge is a heavy burden to carry. But here's the most important lesson. Her regret is not your victory. It's not about winning or losing. It's not about proving her wrong or making her suffer. It's about understanding that life moves forward, that people change, that sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to let go. You see, regret is a teacher. It shows us what matters, what we value, what we can't live without. For her, the lesson may come too late. For you, it's a chance to build something new, something better, something that honors the man you've become. So if you're still wondering whether she'll regret leaving you, remember this. Regret is inevitable when you walk away from something real. It may not look the way you expect. It may not come when you want it to. But it will come, and when it does, you'll be ready. Not to take her back, but to move forward with strength, with wisdom, and with a heart that's open to new possibilities. Let's talk about the journey you're on now, because this is where the real transformation happens. When someone you love leaves, it feels like the world has ended. The pain is raw, the confusion overwhelming. You replay every moment, every conversation, every argument, searching for answers. You wonder what you could have done differently, what you missed, what you failed to see. It's natural to feel lost, to question your worth, to doubt your future. But here's the truth. Heartbreak is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the start of a new chapter, one that's written by you for you. The pain you feel now is the price of growth, the cost of becoming the man you were always meant to be. It's a crucible, a test, a chance to rebuild yourself from the ground up. Contrast this with her experience. While she's chasing distractions, you're forced to confront your reality. You can't hide from the pain, so you face it head on. You learn to sit with your emotions, to process your grief, to accept what you cannot change. This is where true strength is forged, not in denial but in acceptance, not in running away but in standing your ground. As you move through the stages of healing, you start to see things differently. The memories that once brought you pain now bring you wisdom. You realize that love is not about possession, but about appreciation. That happiness is not found in someone else, but in yourself. That your worth is not defined by who stays or who leaves, but by how you choose to live. You begin to rediscover yourself. The hobbies you abandoned, the dreams you put on hold, the passions you forgot, all of these come back to life. You reconnect with friends, with family, with the world around you. You start to see possibilities where before you saw only loss. You realize that your story is far from over, that there are chapters yet to be written, adventures yet to be had. And as you grow, something remarkable happens. The pain begins to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence. You walk taller, speak clearer, move with purpose. You become the kind of man who attracts respect, who commands attention, who inspires others. You become the man she always hoped you would be. But now you're doing it for yourself, not for her. This is the ultimate irony. The very thing that was meant to break you becomes the thing that makes you. The loss that threatened to destroy you becomes the catalyst for your greatest transformation. You become living proof that heartbreak is not a death sentence, but a call to rise. Meanwhile, her journey takes a different turn. As she watches you grow, she can't help but compare. She sees the changes in you, the confidence, the strength, the joy. She remembers the man you were, and she sees the man you've become. And with every step you take forward, her regret deepens. She starts to question her choices. She wonders if she gave up too soon, if she mistook comfort for complacency, if she confused routine with boredom. She realizes that the grass isn't always greener, that excitement fades, that true connection is rare. She sees you thriving, and she wonders what might have been if she'd stayed, if she'd fought, if she'd chosen to grow with you instead of without you. But by now you're on a different path. You're no longer defined by her absence, but by your presence. You're no longer chasing the past, but embracing the future. You're no longer waiting for her to regret leaving. You're too busy living a life that makes regret inevitable. This is the power of contrast. While she's stuck in a cycle of what-ifs, you're building a life of what's next. While she's haunted by memories, you're creating new ones. While she's searching for validation, you're finding fulfillment. The gap between your journeys grows wider with each passing day, and with it, her regret grows deeper. But let's be clear, this isn't about revenge. It's not about making her suffer, or proving her wrong, or winning some imaginary competition. It's about honoring yourself, about choosing growth over stagnation, about turning pain into power. It's about becoming the man you were always meant to be, regardless of who stays or who leaves. And here's the most beautiful part. As you heal, as you grow, as you build a life that's rich and meaningful, you become a beacon for others. You inspire those around you, friends, family, even strangers, to believe in the possibility of transformation. You show them that heartbreak is not the end, but the beginning. That loss is not a curse, but a gift. That regret is not a prison, but a lesson. So if you're still wondering whether she'll regret leaving you, remember this: her regret is a reflection of your growth. The more you invest in yourself, the more you heal, the more you thrive, the more inevitable her regret becomes. Not because you set out to make her feel it, but because you became the kind of man she can't forget. And in the end, that's the greatest victory of all. Not winning her back, but winning yourself. Not proving her wrong, but proving yourself right. Not living in the shadow of regret, but stepping into the light of possibility. Now let's look at the world through her eyes as time keeps moving forward. The seasons change, birthdays come and go, and the initial thrill of her new life has faded into the background. She's no longer the center of attention at every gathering. The friends who once rallied around her have drifted back to their own routines. The new relationships she tried to build never quite reached the depth or comfort she once had with you. The excitement of possibility has been replaced by the reality of solitude. She starts to notice the little things that used to annoy her about you. Your habits, your quirks, your routines were actually the glue that held her world together. The way you always remembered her favorite coffee, the way you'd listen to her stories even when you were tired, the way you'd hold her when she was anxious. These moments, once overlooked, now replay in her mind with a bittersweet clarity. She realizes that the comfort she once took for granted was actually a rare and precious gift. As she scrolls through social media, she sees you smiling, living, growing. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're pursuing a new passion, maybe you're surrounded by friends who lift you up. She sees the light in your eyes, the confidence in your posture, the peace in your smile. She wonders how you managed to move on, how you found happiness without her. She wonders if you ever think about her, if you ever miss what you had. But deep down she knows the answer. She knows that you've built a life that's bigger than the pain, a life that's richer than the regret. This is when the full weight of her decision settles in. She remembers the promises you made, the dreams you shared, the future you planned together. She remembers the way you looked at her, the way you made her feel safe, the way you believed in her even when she doubted herself. She realizes that what she left behind wasn't just a relationship. It was a partnership, a friendship, a love that was built on trust and respect. She tries to fill the void with new experiences, new people, new adventures, But nothing quite measures up. The laughter feels forced. The connections feel shallow. The excitement feels fleeting. She starts to see the difference between being wanted and being loved, between being admired and being cherished. She realizes that the validation she chased was a poor substitute for the devotion she once had. And here's the hardest truth. Regret is a silent companion. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare or drama. It creeps in quietly in the quiet moments, in the spaces between distractions. It shows up when she's alone with her thoughts, when she's lying in bed at night, when she's faced with the reality of her choices. It's a whisper that grows louder with time, a reminder of what was lost, a longing for what can never be regained. But while she's wrestling with regret, you're living proof that healing is possible. You've taken the pain and turned it into purpose. You've used the heartbreak as a stepping stone to something greater. You've learned to love yourself, to trust yourself, to believe in your own worth. You've become the kind of man who doesn't just survive loss, but thrives because of it. And that's the lesson you carry forward. Life is full of endings, but every ending is also a beginning. Every loss is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to become more than you were before. The pain you feel now is temporary, but the strength you gain from it will last a lifetime. The love you gave was real, and nothing can take that away from you. The memories you shared are a testament to your capacity for connection, for vulnerability, for courage. So if you ever find yourself wondering if she'll regret leaving you, remember this: her regret is not your responsibility. Your happiness, your growth, your future, they belong to you. You don't need her validation to know your worth. You don't need her approval to move forward. You don't need her to look back for you to keep moving ahead. The world is full of possibilities, full of people who will appreciate you for who you are, full of opportunities to build something new. The best revenge is not making her regret her decision. It's living a life so full, so rich, so authentic, that regret becomes irrelevant. The best closure is not hearing her say she's sorry. It's knowing deep in your soul that you've become the man you were always meant to be. And if one day she does look back and realize what she lost, let that be her lesson, not your burden. Let her regret be a reminder of the value you brought to her life, the love you gave, the memories you created. Let it be a testament to your strength, your resilience, your capacity to love deeply and fully. Because in the end, the greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to let go, to release the past, to embrace the present, to look forward to the future with hope and excitement, to know that you are enough just as you are, to trust that the right people will find you, the right opportunities will come, the right love will grow. So stand tall, walk forward, live boldly, love deeply, and never forget you are the prize. You are the one who brings value, who creates meaning, who builds a life worth living. And no matter who comes or goes, that truth will never change.